Welcome to Quantum Healing. Today we're going to be talking about the idea of quantum healing, what that is, and quantum emotional healing, how to raise your vibration, how to think about emotional healing from an energetic and vibration point of view. Um, this is a part of the series that I'm doing, a quantum living series. So if you missed the past sessions, you can listen to them on my podcast. I have all the recordings there. And my podcast is called Your Thriving Lifestyle. Okay. So I hope that you guys are having a good time. I hope that you had a good Christmas if you celebrate. And if you don't, I hope that you had a great time with family and friends. And it's funny because this season is also, it has a lot to do with emotional healing, because many times we spend time with family members, and lots of stuff can surface, let's put it that way, especially when we are spending time with parents, children, siblings, direct family members, friends. And sometimes there are so many like tensions or uh, conflicts that are unresolved, or maybe you were raised in a family dynamic that you didn't enjoy and it's still happening. So I think it's a very relevant topic to look at this emotional healing, at what's happening there, and how can we look at this from the angle of the quantum perspective. Because how many of you have had this experience of being in a dynamic that feels not good, it's toxic, it's evoking and triggering you in ways that you don't like, and it's just uncomfortable being present with that. And so from normally emotions from the past, um, at least I have been taught, and sometimes not directly, but by what I have experienced and seen in my family, that emotions are, majority of the times, they are seen as something that they need to be fixed. You have to do something with them. Sometimes they are inadequate. Sometimes they are not happening at the right time. Sometimes no one knows what to do with them. So it becomes like this burden. It becomes this kind of like, oh, that's something to avoid. I cannot be present with that. Um, but from a quantum perspective, emotions are signals, information, and it's energy that is just moving through your body, right? When you are feeling something, you are running an emotion through your nervous system, and your nervous system works with electrical impulses that are kind of going through all your nervous system and all the nerves that you have all over the place. So basically, you are moving energy, okay? So we have been conditioned to suppress, to bypass, to judge, especially the judging, the giving those emotions a meaning. And sometimes the meaning is, that's too much. That is not welcome here. That is too loud. Um, Sometimes the meaning is also positive. When you are a good girl, a good boy, you are going to receive a lot of love, and that feels good. So there is as you can see, there is a lot of positive, negative meaning that we give to emotions. And depending on our family, depending on how we were raised, depending on the family systems that we had, the behaviors that we observed, we created different kinds of meanings for different kinds of emotions. Sometimes we had no idea how to deal with them, and no one taught us how to do that. And some other times we were told not to do something, or to do something, or we were encouraged to participate in a dynamic, and that's how we got love and attention. And some other times we were supposed to avoid those things because in the environment no one knew what to do with that. So I'm just curious to know if you resonate with this, if this was your experience, and if you want to kind of share anything about emotional healing and your experience with it, if you want. So from a quantum perspective, what if emotions are a guidance system? What if emotions are what we need to know what's next for us, to know what are the next steps, what is the next thing that we need to kind of get curious about, explore, bring to the consciousness, observe. Very important. How can we observe more rather than get entangled and react to those emotions? um, Peta says, used to be I drew a boundary around Christmas. Yeah, feel happy to share what that boundary is, just to be curious about it, if you want, Peta. Yeah, so yeah, some of the experiences that I was sharing and some other ones is like feeling triggered by someone and not knowing why. So that's an interesting kind of opening for you to kind of get curious about, what do I need to understand here, or what is this emotion that I'm feeling that doesn't feel good? What is this emotion trying to tell me, right? uh, Waking up heavy or anxious for no reason, reacting emotionally, and then later you wish that you didn't say, or you didn't do, or you didn't react that way. So that's another very clear symptom. And then feeling stuck in repeating emotional patterns. And this is something that I have been kind of observing in my own life, how I get involved in specific patterns that keep repeating, and then how to observe them, how to get curious, how to understand the reasons why I co-create that. And then that's where the emotional healing happens, when you can understand why you are choosing to do what you are choosing to do. That's when it becomes very obvious. Oh wow, now I understand why I felt this way. Now I understand why I reacted this way. Now I understand the meaning that I give to this experience and the reason why I feel I have to do something about it. So it's very interesting when you can step into that curiosity mode and stop reacting so much. Yeah. Hi, Madeline. Peta says, only spend time with those who uplift and do not drain, like immediate family and maybe a close friend or two. Amazing. That's a really good boundary, Peta, that you are aware of, right? And you conserve your energy. And I'm sure that came from you experiencing many situations that didn't feel good for you, and now you are very aware of that. So that's a very interesting approach, right? To set a boundary and to choose not to go there if that doesn't feel good. Christina says, when I heard of emotions as being guides, I had to go through the process of just accepting them first so that I could be aware of what emotions are appearing. Yeah, that's the next thing I'm going to be talking about, how important it is to create space for them. I was so used to pushing them away or buying them. Yeah, just accepting them unconsciously, and they become your programming, or you push them away. Yeah. Yeah. So what are emotions, right? The conventional view says that emotional reactions are based on circumstances. So whatever happens outside, you react to that, and that is an emotion that is evoked by something that is happening externally. It's something that you have to regulate, you have to manage, you have to control. So you have to do something about that emotion, right? So it feels like a burden kind of thing. Oh, I'm feeling this thing and I don't know what to do with this. And often it's treated as a mental or behavioral issue. It's very easy to go to the label, right? Oh, I am depressed, I am anxious, I have ADD, I have, and then we very quickly label things, but sometimes we don't look at the whole scenario, the whole environment that is surrounding us, and we kind of get very focused on that label, and then that label gives us the meaning that we need to be able to accept, to be able to push away, to be able to do something that feels kind of aligned. But deep down, many times we don't feel aligned doing that, and that's where the emotional healing needs to happen, because from a quantum perspective, we want to be aligned with who we truly are. And the first step is to really accept what's happening and to really discover, keep discovering, who am I? what feels good for me in this moment. Not to my father, not to my mother, not to the boss I have, not to me. What do I really truly want? And what is the thing that feels best for me right now? And being able to even create space for that question and to be able to look at the truth of that question sometimes is really important. Because if you cannot create space for that curiosity, if you cannot create space for that emotion to be present without you having to do something about it, it's very difficult to get going with that discovery process, with that emotional healing. uh, yeah. So from a quantum or energetic view, emotions are energy in motion. Okay, so it's, as I was saying, it's just energy moving through your body. Each emotion carries a specific frequency. There are different frequency levels that you can vibrate at, and every emotional state has a different frequency. Emotions reflect alignment or misalignment with your truth in that specific moment. Remember, your truth can change moment to moment to moment, because from a quantum perspective, there is no past, there is no future, everything exists here and now. And the only thing that you are doing in the present moment is you are changing your vibration, your frequency, and then you are connecting with different experiences through that vibration. So the emotions are reflecting where you are at on an emotional kind of vibrating scale kind of idea. And then these emotions, this energetic frequency that you are embodying in the present moment, that's going to influence what you are attracting and how you experience your reality. Okay, so from a quantum perspective, you are 100% responsible for what's happening. You are co-creating everything that's happening in your life, consciously or unconsciously. And the emotional healing journey is the process of discovering what you are co-creating, why you are co-creating it, and then making a different choice if that thing is not aligned with who you are in that moment. And that's where the emotional healing journey has a different pace for each of us. It's if you are dealing with something that comes from your childhood, excuse me, most likely it's gonna be heavier. It's gonna have more inertia. It's gonna have more momentum in your life, in everything around you, and that's going to make it maybe a little bit more time consuming for you to be able to accept, to look at these things, to move through the emotions that are arising. Maybe there is sadness, maybe there is grief, maybe there is guilt, maybe there is frustration and anger. So there are so many things that can arise and come to the surface. And as you guys were saying, it's very important to be able to create space for that and to look at it from a neutral point of view. Okay, these things are arising. I'm just going to allow space for these things to be there. And I don't have to go and do something with them right now. I can kind of let them be there, because what you resist persists. You guys know that sentence? So if there is something that you don't want and you are placing attention in resisting that thing, you are actually placing your attention into that thing, because you are trying to prevent it. You are trying to resist. So you are actively giving it energy. And maybe something that you don't want, but you are giving it energy because you are resisting. You are not just focusing on what you want and ignoring that thing and being completely neutral and detached from that thing. You are attached energetically to that because you are resisting it. So it's a very interesting perspective when you look at it. When you are attaching to something energetically, clearly there is something in there for you to learn from. There is something in there that you are attaching to because there is something inside of you that feels that need. There is a meaning, there is a need, there is something in there that is inviting you to kind of react that way. And if it doesn't feel good, that is where the emotional healing can happen, of you becoming detached, becoming the observer, and then try to understand, why am I getting involved with this? Why am I energetically getting activated and getting attached and doing something with this, where this is something that I don't want in my life? So why can't I focus on what I want instead? And why am I stuck in here? So there is always something for us to learn when we do that. So it's not something negative. It's just a signal, right? It's just a guidance. So Christina Grace says, I was always the too sensitive one, but I choose to see it as a gift. Being able to feel, I just needed to be more aware of the way I regulate them. Yeah. Or perhaps better to say, the way I respond to them. Yeah, Christina, exactly. That's a nice meaning, right? When you are too sensitive, you can see that as a burden. So that's a definition, that's a meaning. You are a burdensome person because you are too sensitive. Or you can see it as a gift. But as you say, like, that gift comes with you becoming aware of how you regulate yourself and doing that regulation in a way that feels good to you. And for those of you, and me included, when we are too sensitive to something and we get involved in situations where we are too impacted, that is an invitation to energetically learn how to create our energetic bubble in a way that feels more aligned with us. And majority of the times, in my own experience, when I feel that way, I am not creating my own bubble the way I want. I am not allowing myself to have 100% of control of my bubble and then interact with others in the way that feels good to me. But I normally become whatever other people bring, and then I energetically match that, and then I become very affected. Sometimes I'm very impacted when I am not consciously remembering that I have control of my energetic bubble. I can be compassionate without getting lost in that emotion. And that doesn't mean that I'm being selfish. So going through all the labels that I tell myself, you are being selfish, you are not allowed to do that, if someone doesn't feel good, you cannot feel good. There are so many definitions in my mind that I learned throughout my life that I need to challenge, I need to question, and I need to reframe in a different way. And then my nervous system needs to catch up to those new definitions. And that's why sometimes it's very difficult to you create a change, you want to do something different, but then a real experience happens and my nervous system reacts in a way like it has done for the last 10, 20, 30 years. But I'm trying to do something different. And that's why changing that sometimes it just takes a little bit of time and repetition, because there is a lot of momentum happening. Patrick says, when you remember harmful words or actions, you give them power over you. Yeah, exactly, Patrick. Any situation that triggers you, there is something in there for you to learn about. There is if you cannot be neutral, there is something in there that you can explore, because otherwise you wouldn't even resonate with that at all. So yeah, it's very interesting to really look at things that trigger you, and then you do the work, and then you can show up differently to the exact same situations, and then you notice, oh wow, in the past I would have lost my mind, I would have done this, I would have felt this, but now that experience is not impacting me the same way. So that is a really good way for you to know that you are emotionally healing yourself, you are emotionally realigning yourself differently, and you can confront, you can be present with the exact same experiences, but you are not reacting the way that you used to. And even though that the external situation did not change, you know that you have changed because you are reacting differently, you are behaving differently in that specific situation. And this is why journaling, having some sort of way for you to remember what you used to do and what you do now is so powerful, because it's very easy to forget. When you become someone else, when you react differently, in my case, I forget very easily how I used to be, what I used to do. And I'm not a big journaler, but I try to keep track of some of the main things, because I forget. They just leave my mind and I don't remember. So that's why sometimes it's really powerful to keep track of things. Yeah, so becoming the observer is something that is really important. And from a quantum perspective, that is one of the first steps, right? When you can observe, everything is going to change, because you are not getting lost in that emotion. You are not having to do something. So when you observe an emotion without judgment, that emotion begins to shift. That emotion has space to do what it needs to do, to express itself in the way that it's needed. And then it will leave your body. It will just leave you. And then you won't have that energy stuck in you. Reactivity keeps emotions stuck. So when you are feeling reactive, you are somehow stuck in that emotion in you, and you are not letting it flow. You are not letting it express, because there is a definition, I believe, something in you that is preventing that from happening. And you guys were saying before that you used to push them away, push them down, don't let them come. So that's a way to really keeps those emotions stuck, frozen. Presence creates space. So when you can be present, you are creating space for that emotion to show up. And the more present you can be, the more that emotion can arise, the more safety you are creating, and the more you are allowing that energy to move. So that is a really, really important to for this quantum emotional healing. The idea of presence, the idea of neutrality, the idea of becoming the observer, the idea of not attaching yourself to having to do something, to a definition, to this is good, this is bad, I should be doing this or that. You just let go and observe, and just let things show up in the way they need to. And physically speaking, sometimes that can move through your body, through maybe you cry, maybe you feel really hot, maybe you feel tension in specific areas of your body, but you can be present with that, and you give that space and you acknowledge that. So there are so many different ways for you to somatically help that energy to move out of your body. And majority of the times, somatically speaking, that experience is also gonna be connected emotionally, and you're gonna experience like visions or memories, or emotions are gonna run through you, and it's just a part of the process of moving that energy out of the body. Create a infinite space, perhaps. Yeah, Christina. The more space you can create, the better. What did you say about reactivity? Keep stuck. Yeah, Medellin, I was saying that when we are feeling reactive to something that is happening, we are kind of making that energy feel stuck, because when we are reacting, there is an expectation, there is a need from us to do something with that emotion, right? With that energy that is coming up. And when that happens, like, we are not allowing that to unfold the way it needs to. We are kind of blocking that energy circulation. So when we are reacting, when we are controlling, when we are doing something, and we are not able to create space through us being present, through us being the observer, we are helping that energy get stuck, basically, because there is something in us that we need to really get curious about. Maur says, Emilio, you look great, but life always makes you take sides and be active. Yeah, Maur, that's thank you, and that's part of the experience, right? that's part of being here as with a physical body. And from a quantum perspective, we have an energetic body, a higher self, and then we are here. We have a physical body that is going through this experience, and this polarity that we experience here in this reality, that energetically doesn't exist, because I'm not saying that you always are going to be on neutrality, because if you are always in neutrality, that means that physical experience won't exist, and you won't be able to experience a hot, cold, good, bad. Everything is a polarity. Everything has two faces, right? Everything has a. So basically, if you didn't have that polarity, you wouldn't learn what you like. You wouldn't be able to recognize and have clarity about this feels good, this doesn't feel good. And your truth will be more difficult to kind of find. So that's why you're always going to be taking sides, but I don't think you're going to be taking sides. I think you're going to be honoring your truth. And from a quantum perspective, everything exists here and now. So you can choose whatever you want. So when you are saying that you have to take sides and be active, it makes total sense, because you do have to make a choice. What do I want to experience? What do I want to consciously choose? And then you make that choice, and then you take inspired action, and then you let the universal laws, the law of attraction, your higher self, to help you find the how, through synchronicities, through intuition, through things that happen, opportunities that may arise in your life. So you are actively deciding and taking a side, because you have to. Otherwise, life is going to do it for you. Other people are going to do it for you. When you are not actively choosing something with intention, think about it. Something else, someone else is going to fill your time, it's going to take your energy, because you are not creating structure. You are not deciding what you want. And sometimes it's okay not to don't have to do anything and just flow, but sometimes we flow and we don't feel well, and we want to flow the way we like, and we want to be our own true self. And that's when it's important to set boundaries. It's important to create structure. It's important to make intentional choices, because there is an infinite amount of possibilities in front of you, but you have to collapse reality into something concrete. And that's where the experience of being a human person comes from, right? So you are creating your own reality, and you are always choosing what you are doing, consciously or unconsciously. So this emotional healing from a quantum perspective is you, in every present moment, learning how to get aligned to the best of your ability with who you are in that moment, and really be able to see everything that is standing on the way of you being able to be who you want to be. And that is the emotional healing. That is the realignment. That is you becoming curious, you becoming the observer, so that you can gain perspective, and then you will take action in the way that feels good to you, in the way that honors your true self in that moment, in the way that it's inspired action. It's not action coming out of fear or coming out of you needed to control because you are deep down afraid and you have to control things. No, it's you taking action and being able to let go and let the universe do its part. And then you show up to the best of your ability, you follow your excitement, and you allow those emotions to run through you, and you learn from them. So, so Christina Grace says, because sometimes in the past I know I have kind of controlled the amount of space I gave myself, but if I think of it in being present, fully present, then it's infinite, it seems. I think that will be more positive. Yeah, Christina, that's an interesting kind of point of view, but it's interesting because we are talking about infinite, we are talking about being fully present and what that means, and the definition of that is going to be different if we are looking from a quantum perspective on the energetic realm. It's going to be different than on the human body realm, because we have time, we have space, we have all these kind of, I don't want to call it limitations, I want to call it rules, laws. So if you are on an energetic level, everything is infinite, there is no time, there is no space, so you could be present with anything. But when you want to experience something, you have to do it through your physical body. You have to come down here and you have to choose something and experience it. And you're gonna learn, and you have to create containers of time, because we have limited amount of time here, but there is no time in the energetic realm. So it's harmonizing those two worlds, right? Finding a balance between them. I like that so often flow, but then things often don't get done. Yeah, so Christina, so this is a good example for you to then realign yourself and think, okay, so I like to flow, but then when I flow, sometimes things don't get done. So what things do you want to get done? Why are they important? And how do you need to show up differently, or what kind of boundaries or structure, or what kind of intentional actions you need to take to make those a reality? So if we can reframe, you are not your emotions. You are the awareness experiencing those emotions. So this is what I was talking about, becoming the observer, right? You are who is observing your emotions, but you are not your emotions. And that's where you can get that distance. And from an executive functioning skill perspective, you are using what's called your metacognition, your ability to reflect, your ability to think about how you think about how you behave. It's like visualizing yourself sitting on a couch and then watching a TV, and then you are the star of the show that you are watching, and you are watching yourself doing, feeling, going through life. So that's kind of, I would say that that's a simulation of you connecting with your higher self, you connecting with the part of you that is energetic, and then the one on the TV is the one who is in the physical world. There is time, there is space, there is positive, negative polarities, cold, hot, and then the energetic part of you doesn't experience that, because those things don't exist there. Everything is neutral, and then for you to experience, you have to come here and experience in this movie called life, right? So MAB says, in Irish, we don't say I am sad. We say sadness is on me. It's a temporary state, not a thing you are. I love that. Yeah, how wonderful that is, right? Because when you say sadness is on me, it's like a wave of energy that is on you, but you know that wave will eventually leave you, right? And you are not sad. You are just experiencing the sadness right now. And then after, you may experience something different. So that's a beautiful way of looking at it. Yeah, thank you for sharing. So then we talk about reactive versus responsive, right? States. So reactivity equals that the nervous system is in survival. So we are reacting to something because we are not feeling safe. Deep down, when we are reacting, there is something that is not feeling good. And we are trying to do something so that we can fix that feeling. So it's a misalignment, energetically speaking. And responsiveness equals nervous system regulated. Emotional healing begins with safety, not with force. And regulation first, and then insight second. That's why it's so important to always self-regulate. Find a way for you that works for you to self-regulate yourself, and then find the activities, the meditations, whatever that is for you that helps you come back into your body, helps you breathe, helps you feel more relaxed, less reactive, less attached. And this is kind of a practice to harmonize your physical body with your energetic body, right? Remember that it's important to find a balance, to be harmonious, to don't negate one or the other. So it's not good to be too logical and too grounded and forget about intuition and energy and everything else. But it's also not good to be lost in the energetic realm and then to forget about time, space, responsibilities, and taking action and organizing your space. So there has to be a balance between those two arenas. And it's gonna look different for each of you. Some of you are gonna be more naturally have a tendency to stay in the energetic realm and kind of floating and dreaming and flowing, and it's more difficult for you to come back here and actually create something bound to time and space. And I'm sure there are some of you that are more naturally more logical, more grounded, more here now. And then when you talk about spirituality or energy, it's like, well, that doesn't exist. So it's really important to become curious about the part of you that is not as developed or maybe is more resistant, and really find that balance that works for you. Yeah. So it's always good to be curious. Curiosity is really important. If you are always in the clouds, as Christina says, so are you choosing that? Does that feel good for you? Because if you are always in the clouds and that's working for you, then stay there. I mean, why do you want to come here, right? But if there is something that you want to do here that you are not doing, then just get curious about how can I come from the clouds sometimes to earth and do something. And then the opposite, right? If you're always on earth and you want to be in the clouds or be able to go to the clouds sometimes, so how can you make that happen? Yeah, emotional healing begins with safety. Yeah, Christina, so true. Safety, right? And safety, what does safety means? I'm curious to know from you guys, what does safety means? What do you need so that you can feel safe? Because in my experience, safety means something different for each person. Each nervous system is gonna need a different kind of safety. So I'm curious to know, what do you need to feel safe, and what does safety means to you when it comes to this emotional healing journey? And then when we talk about emotional blocks and old patterns, so we are talking about energy that is stuck, right? And this stored emotions or stored energy often comes from childhood experiences, from past relationships, from unexpressed grief, anger, or fear. So basically, emotions that you were feeling that you didn't complete expressing them. So these patterns replay until they are acknowledged. Okay, so this is gonna keep replaying until you pay attention, until you create the space, until you can be present with them and allow them to express what they need to express. And then healing is integration, not elimination. So you are not eliminating something that doesn't feel good. You are learning from that and you are integrating that into your life moving forward. This is really important. And there is a modality that I really like. It's called internal family systems. And they do just this. So they invite different parts of yourself that they have a strong emotion or they have something to say, or they are protecting you in ways unconsciously that no longer serve you. But from an internal family system perspective, it's beautiful because the book that he brought is called No Bad Parts, because he says there is nothing in you that is bad. There is no part of you that is doing something that is wrong or bad. Every part of you that is doing something, getting agitated, self-sabotaging you, whatever, they all have a good intention. And that is to protect you in the way they know. And majority of the times, that part of you that is trying to do that is stuck in the past. That part of you is trying to help you with the tools that that part of you maybe is 7 years old, 10 years old, whatever, and they are trying to protect you in the same way. That's why it's so important that you connect with your higher self, with your true self, with your core self, however you want to call it. And then that true self has a conversation with that part of you that is stuck in time, but is reacting, is always making you do something that you don't want to do. And as soon as you give that part space to express, that part will automatically relax. And then you will have a conversation, and then you will learn, what do you need from me? What are you protecting me from? What are you afraid is going to happen if I do this or that? And then once you understand that, then you integrate that in your life. You are not eliminating, you are actually, they call them, there are parts that are exiled. Basically, when you pushed away a part of you that it wasn't safe to be present, you exile that part. They call them exiled parts. And then when you are integrating them back, you are bringing them from that exile, and you are bringing them and integrating them in your life. And it's like they become a team member with you, and you are moving forward with them. But you together are reframing how you are helping. You are reframing how you are approaching things. And it's a beautiful example of how integration and healing can look like. So yeah, that's a very powerful example of how to create space, how to have a conversation. So let me read the comments. What does safety means to you? And you guys say, let me see. So not to be judged, free to feel and be as I am, comfortable and uncharged nervous system. For me, safety is about family. So what's about family? What does that mean, Maur? I invite you to go a layer deeper. What does family mean? Is that connection? Is that support? Is that presence? What does that mean? I also try to flow and often lose track of time in the clouds. Anita says, feel love from me and from others. Money gives safety too. Anita says, of course, money gives you like a very big safety, no, in the physical world. I love IFS, Internal Family Systems. Thank you, Christina. Heather says, wow, that is an aha moment for me. Healing is integration, not elimination. A very different approach for me. Yeah, Heather, I'm so happy that that's an aha moment for you. Yeah, it's so important when you can integrate and you know that nothing is bad, nothing is trying to get you. They're actually trying to help you in ways that probably are not the best. But as we said, those parts of you are normally stuck in the past, and they are trying to express the way they know, and that is energy stuck in your body trying to like be expressed in a way that feels good. So yeah, healing is integration, not elimination. Yeah, so from a practical perspective, okay, so let's share some emotional awareness practices that we could do to help with this quantum emotional healing, right? To keep going in this journey. So some ideas. Name what you feel without story. Okay? So name what you are feeling without needing to justify, without needing to get lost in the details of why or how or when or who. Just name the feeling and just be present with it. Locate it in the body. That's sometimes, I know that for some people this may feel weird, but sometimes you can actually locate that emotion somewhere in your body and you can sense a tension, or it's very intuitively. So sometimes you can give it a texture. Sometimes you can feel temperature. Is it cold? Is it hot? Is it dense? Is it light? Is it black? Is it green? Where is it? What shape it has? Is it like around your neck, or is it around your shoulders? Or is it heavy? Is it light? So there are so many, there is no right or wrong here. Whatever your intuition tells you, you can go with that. And then allow it to exist without resistance. Just allow it to be there, allow it to express, create space for it. Remember, what you resist persists. Okay? When you are resisting something, you are giving it energy, you are giving it attention. So you are making that more solidified in your life. When you can step back and you can allow that emotion to be, and you don't have to do anything with it, you don't have to fix, you don't have to resist it, you just allow it, that emotion naturally is gonna do what it needs to do. It's going to express in the way that it needs to express, and eventually it's a wave. It's just gonna go somewhere else. And there are many emotional and energy techniques that you can do through visualization, through using your hands, so that you can move that energy too. Yeah, what else? Breath, grounding, gentle movement is so important, right? That helps. Breath, grounding, sound, movement, any of those somatic kind of things really help to move the energy. Uh, safety allows emotions to move. So you guys were talking about safety and what that means for you. So how can you create more safety so that those emotions can arise and can express and don't need to be like locked in there forever? And then no regulation, no sustainable shift. So when you are not self-regulated, it's very difficult to make changes. It's very difficult to signal to your nervous system that something can be different, because you are tense, you are on survival mode, and the nervous system is not open, doesn't feel safe. As you guys were saying, safety is so important. If there is no safety, there is no healing, there is no integration, there is no presence, there is nothing really. So maybe sometimes the most important piece is to come back to safety, whatever that means to you. And for relationships, when you are with someone, define together what safety means. Have a word. Like my partner and I, we have a word, and it's pineapple. Anytime someone says pineapple, that means that we are either not regulated or we are seeing the other person not regulated. And then when we say pineapple, we need to be conscious enough to be able to pause and stop everything. And we are not to talk anymore. We are not to do anything. We are to be present and then breathe and then ask for what we need. What do we need? I need space. I need to talk about this. Are you available? I need to take a couple of deep breaths. I would love if you put your hand on my heart and just breathe with me 2 times. Whatever that is for you. So very important to define and to find safety together when there are other people involved. Yeah, so when you are raising your vibration, there are a few important things, right? Not bypassing a negative emotion is important, because if you are bypassing it, you are ignoring it, and it's gonna stay there, and it's gonna probably grow, it's gonna feel resentful, and that part of you, that energy, that emotion is gonna keep doing something even though you are trying to push it down. So bypassing is not an option long term. It may work temporarily, but if you are trying to do emotional healing, bypassing is not the way to go. Also, not staying high vibe all the time. When you are high vibe all the time, that's another way of bypassing, right? Because you are most likely ignoring. Sometimes you are not high vibe, and that's okay. Sometimes you don't feel well, and that's okay. Sometimes you feel triggered, that's okay. So this is where Tantra and the idea of mindfulness is so important, right? You are going moment to moment to moment. From a quantum perspective, the only thing that exists is the present moment. So if you are feeling sad, you are feeling sad, or sadness is on you. You can rename it that way. Sometimes you may feel anger. Sometimes you may feel, wow, I'm so alone and sad, or I am so excited and uplifted. And it's a moment to moment experience, and it's okay to go through different emotions. But it's also okay to learn how to self-regulate and don't explode and get lost in that emotion, hopefully, every time that it comes. Anita says, I'm curious, what does not sleeping mean from a quantum point of view? That's a great question. So Anita, to be honest, sleeping it's more for the physical body. It's a way for you to rest your physical body. It's a way for you to integrate and to have space to kind of take the day in, and through dreaming, through like symbolism, through images, you may make sense of what happened. You may create space for things that you wanted to do, and maybe you kind of visualize you doing something that you didn't do. But many people say that they are able to do something when they are sleeping on the energetic realm. They can go to the astral world, they can go to other dimensions, and while their physical body is sleeping, they are doing other things energetically. So some of you may have heard of the idea of lucid dreaming, and that is when you can actually wake up in your dream and be lucid in that dream, and then you can go places, do things. And remember, on that arena, there is no time, there is no space, so you don't have to travel places. You can instantly be wherever you want. It's all instantaneous. So imagine everything that you could do, right? If you are not sleeping, when you are sleeping. But when you are not sleeping, I'm not a professional about sleeping, but I will invite you to get curious. Like, why aren't you sleeping? Are you trying to avoid something? Is your body maybe too aroused to be able to rest? Maybe there is some safety that needs to happen before your body feels relaxed enough to lay down and rest. Is there a definition about sleeping that maybe you have and it's preventing you from doing it? Because so many people, I know so many friends that they always say sleeping is a waste of time, right? So if you have that definition in your head, so how much of a restful sleep are you gonna get if your definition is that sleeping is a waste of time? For me, sleeping means it's time with myself, it's time to rejuvenate my body, it's solitude time to relax, to integrate, it's fun time to go and dream and do something different. So I have a very positive definition about sleeping, and I luckily, I'm gonna touch wood, I sleep really well, and I have always slept really well. But I don't know, get curious, explore, research. I will just research why am I not sleeping, what is the quantum perspective of sleeping or not sleeping. Just get curious and see if there is a message for you to learn about that not sleeping, because I'm sure there is a reason why you are not sleeping. And I'm curious because I have a book from Louise Hay that is called Heal Your Body, and I am curious to know if she has anything here about sleeping, because maybe she has. I don't see anything about sleeping. Yeah, I don't see anything about sleeping. But yeah, I will really get curious about. Yeah, it doesn't say anything about dreaming either. Yeah, sorry that I don't have a clear answer for you about that, but I'm sure there is a reason why that's happening, and there is something that you need to learn. Yeah, I love sleeping. Thanks. I will explore it. So you do love sleeping. Yeah. So maybe there is a physical condition that is preventing you from sleeping. Yeah. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, so to complete this, some kind of statements for you to remember about manifestation and emotional alignment. So your emotional state influences what you attract. Manifestation responds to being, not effort. This one is something that I have a hard time with, because I always try to do, and that's how I kind of gauge if I have done enough or not. And from a quantum perspective, everything is about being. It has nothing to do with doing or having. It's all about what you are, what you feel. So it's such a difference, right? A different meaning. Emotional coherence equals clearer outcomes, and healing emotions clears your signal. So when you are healing emotions and you are doing this quantum emotional healing, you are making your signal, your vibration more clear, so that you then attract with more clarity what is it that you want. So emotions are teachers. They are not obstacles. Healing is a relationship with yourself, and getting curious and having dialogues and being gentle and compassionate and creating space. And when you listen instead of resist, energy reorganizes naturally. So, from a quantum perspective, guys, love, health, abundance are the norm. That is the natural state. So, when we are born, we are fully healthy, we are fully loved, we are fully, and then as we grow, we put obstacles to that energy. We create definitions. We, from our environment, we go through experiences. Some of them may be traumatic, and then we start creating blockages, limiting beliefs, constrictions, definitions, and then some of the quantum emotional healing is us kind of taking these layers, questioning these beliefs, reliving these experiences and changing the meaning, so that we can be right now, we can be who we are, not a part of us that is kind of constricted, trying to fit in a box or trying to fit in a definition that is not really us. So that is very, very important to remember. Loving your quantum perspective. Big gratitude for you, Emilio. My emotions are my guides. Thank you so much, Word. Yeah, so guys, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much for sharing, for participating. It's always a pleasure to share and talk about these kind of topics that are a little bit out there, but they are so important and so refreshing. And I hope that you can look at your quantum emotional healing from a different perspective. And maybe I have planted hopefully some seeds for you to kind of keep moving forward in a way that feels more aligned with who you are. And I have future sessions that I will be focusing on generational healing, because that one is a really big one, and I can't wait to share more about that. But today it's all about you. It's all about your healing. It's all about you taking responsibility, you creating space and safety for yourself, and discovering the things that are present for you, why they are there. Get curious, ask questions to those parts of you. If you are feeling anxious, if you are not sleeping, if you are feeling angry with your father, if you are, whatever emotion is there, get curious. Ask it, why are you here? What are you trying to teach me? What are you afraid is going to happen if I do this? Why do you self-sabotage me? How can we create a strategy together that feels better? And you can do this with so many different ways, right? There are so many different approaches here. Yeah. If you find helpful this session, as always, a donation is mostly appreciated if you can. And don't forget to follow me if you are not following me, so that you don't miss future sessions. And I have enjoyed all your wisdom and perspective shared today. Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Gloria, for your donation. Word says, you have helped me see my busy mind as a multidimensional awareness. I can now work with it with more love. Yeah, Word. More love. Multidimensional awareness. That sounds amazing. Instead of labeling your mind as a busy mind, you label it as it's a multi-dimensional awareness. That sounds so cool, and it's so empowering. So thank you for that definition. Thank you, guys. I hope to see you next week if you can make it, and if not, I hope that you start the year with positivity, with energy, and with good relationships. Okay? Adios, guys.